Okay, good morning everyone. Welcome back to the vlog. I wanted to clear the air on the 550 from the DDE boys, and I wanted to give you guys a chronological story on what transpired with the car. Obviously, I was chatting with Damon when he posted the 550, and I made a joke on Instagram saying like, if you ever decide to sell the car, I would like to buy it. A few moments later, he messaged me with a price, and I was like, cool. Like, I didn't even really negotiate for it because I like car, I like Ferrari, I like that it had a rally handbrake, and I've been following Mike Essa from the drift scene already. So I was like, okay, sent payment for the car, and I found out that there were a few things that was wrong with the car when I visited it in the old HQ. So when I went to visit the old HQ because I wanted to see what parts were missing and more details on the build, I quickly found out that there was no air conditioning, and the car is here in the Philippines, and the Philippines is very warm. So our average temperature is like 32 up all the way up to 38 maybe in summers, and then we do have a lot of rain also, which means there's moments where we can't just have the windows down and not have AC. So that was my prerequisite. I also found out that the dashboard and the sidings were missing, so they quickly got around to doing that. Damon was nice enough to have it wrapped in Alcantara. I think Creative Bespoke was the one who wrapped it. They had major issues putting back the AC system. The AC system, they tried 2 different times to put it in and it didn't work. So they actually ripped it out and used the vintage air controller. Now, I'm very familiar with the vintage air controller because that's what we use in the classic Mustangs that we restore in classic speed. So when they put the vintage air controller, I found out from looking at the wiring diagram of the car that the ECU of the air conditioner also controls the radiator fans. So that's why the radiator fans don't want to turn on. That's why when they loaded the car from Canada to the port, when the tow truck driver was idling it to put it in the car carrier, it overheated and the fluid pushed out of the overflow bottle. And when we got the car here, we verified it. The radiator fans were not switching on, and it's because that module from the air conditioner was removed, which was basically sending power to the relays of the radiator fan, because the radiator fan and the condenser fans are basically all in one circuit. So the biggest issue here was when the car was moved from the old HQ to the new HQ, the car was never really tested. Tested meaning tested hard, driven hard, drifted again with the AC system. So that's why that was the disconnect in the whole storyline. And people were saying, like, there's so many angry comments saying like I'm bad-mouthing DDE. I don't bad-mouth DDE. The boys at DDE will not ghost me because I have known them. I do chat with Dave and Mike on not a regular basis, but I do ask them questions about the car. So right now we're on the way to check the car out and found out there is another issue with the car, and when I get to the shop I'll show you guys. This is a flat 6 4.3 liter 997 GT3 RWB. Going down to get a pull. Second gear, first gear. Such long gears. I love this shift now. I need to check the ride height of the car and the alignment because the front is super low and the back is super high, and I had the air cups adjusted, but I think they set it all the way down, so gotta sort that out. And so many small details on this car need to be worked out. Dropped it the boys to bring out the 550, and the 550 is all the way inside over there. This is one of the cars we're restoring. It's a 67, and as you can see, it's been stripped down so that we can double check everything. So this car is for sale. This is a C6 with a supercharger on an LS3, but it's got a ZR1 body. Some ADV ones. This used to be my old drift car with my dad. It's actually my dad's old drift car, and I used it as a base for my Corvette project before. But this is already good to go, and we're just waiting for someone to pick this up. Okay. Let's start up this beast. So one of the nice things is Dave messaged me that he found the spare key in Damon's garage. So I'm gonna set you guys down so we can start the car. The door sound. Okay. But we do have a check engine light. The car is super filthy, but we'll bring it outside now so we can get it washed and look at it and do a short test drive. No drifting yet. So that check engine light is what we're dealing with at the moment, and I can't seem to plug the scanner. Every time we plug the scanner to the OBD, it won't read the ECU, which is worrisome. But I'm gonna test drive the car now and see if there's any issue with the ECUs, or at least it not reading certain parts of the ECU. And there's also a switch right here beside, which I don't know what it does. But this is the AC module that they replaced, and as you can see, it is a vintage air. The air conditioner does work, which is good. It must be a sport light behind the gauge that's not turned on. So our RPM also is no bueno. Okay, here we go, bring it outside. So this is our scanner. This is brand new. As you can see, we still have the film on it, and if you try to get into any of the ECUs, like right Motronic bank, basically it gives us an error message. So this is alarming. Also, our voltage for the car is extremely low. It says 11.6 volts. So yes, it won't connect. So none of the systems here are registering on the car, which means there's something wrong with the OBD socket. So this is the OBD socket. We have to trace all the wires here and see if anything got cut going upwards, because yeah, this data is needed so that we can diagnose everything else. I will test drive the car real quick and see if anything feels weird, but I do want to get the RPM working. Yeah, voltage. So I'm going to turn on the AC and the headlights now, and the voltage doesn't change. But if we rev it a little, it's pretty solid when everything's on. So at this rate, we're actually going to deload the battery while we're using the car. So our temperature is rising still, and even if we put bypass fans, it's not, it should stay at 90 basically, right? So I do have the AC running. We'll lessen that, see if the car will overheat. So as you can see, the car does have issues, but it is running. The RPM is not working. The fans, we had to put a bypass switch, and now the ECU won't connect. So let's go out for a quick test drive to see if anything else is wrong with the car. And we gotta add a horn. And look, we have condensation happening here. I can feel air blowing out here. Temperature is still rising, so no shenanigans, just quick test drive around the block. Test the brakes. Wow, the handbrake isn't that easy to pull, also requires some major force. The tires are a little sketch. The seat is a little far from me. a remote adjustment. Gotta see if we can polish this up. The car does work, although it does have some small issues. When the AC is now on, the temperature creeps up, and then now having to trace the wiring and see if one of the wires to the OBD is missing. That rattle is insane. I also don't have a rear view mirror, the tachometer is not working, and just a few more things that need to be sorted before I can bring this car out on the road and have some fun with it. I think the rear wheel tire width is too skinny. You do feel the car want to break loose, and yeah, maybe checking the alignment. Obviously, we do have to check the voltage because the voltage is very important. If our voltage is low, then we're gonna have some major issues. What I can do is actually, yeah, leave the headlights on and the aircon and let it idle and see if the car will turn off. Next door coming out saying hello. Okay, idle, headlights on, aircon full blast. Let's see what the temps go up to. So we have the headlights and the high beams on. I have the AC on as well. The car sounds good from inside, although it sounds super quiet from inside. I wonder how it sounds from the outside. I hope you guys heard some good audio through the mic, but the car does look menacing. The Mach 1 of my brother just arrived, and I want to go through that car real quick because it's such an interesting build. So just running the car for 30 minutes. I have a self-cooling tunnel. Okay, so I think the OBD socket might be the issue, or the wires going to the OBD socket into the ECU might be an issue. Obviously, we're missing the tachometer signal because we don't have probably a wire going to that, and I wanted to validate it with the computer, but because the computer won't connect, then I can't validate the tachometer signal also. But driving the car does have power. It's not misfiring, it's super smooth, and making a little letter here. So right now the air conditioning is constantly dripping. We have a little puddle here already, so it's really just dripping back here. Again, the Philippines is much warmer, so it's going to be an issue because it might crawl through the wiring, and I want to hide this wiring also. So we're gonna hide this wiring to the back. The transmission tunnel does get a tad warm, and it's not even peak day, so I think I want to add some insulation to the center console, maybe in black Alcantara also. The 828's coming out. Wow, that is so Philippine. That's a fun car. I've been driving that car. I just had some weird vibration in the exhaust, so we're adding some flexible hoses on it. But I'm making the list for the car now. It's just getting longer and longer. It's ultra busy here today at Classic Speed. Lots of cars moving in and out. This is my Rally Evo 4.5, and this is going down to Manila for some dyno tuning. So this is an all-out race car. It's got an Alpha 2.3 liter 4G63. fiberglass doors, full spec roll cage, rally handbrake, sequential gearbox, and the works. This thing is so light and I have yet to test it. Our motor, just finished wiring in the Link ECU and stuff. And then yeah, the rally headlights that's facing to the sky. So this is the S550 chassis, basically a 2014 chassis, 69 body. I have a few things I want to fix on this car, but maybe later we can go over this car and see how cool this build is, because it's basically a modern Mustang underneath this skin. This 997 up for paint also. This is our AIM cluster, AIM shop cluster, PDM system, PDM 32. And this car is gonna go down. Excited to see the power figures of this car. So just warming up the motor, and we're gonna load it onto the trailer. Here you go. Salamat. See you. Car's gonna get loaded. I'm gonna hydrate. Generally, that was the update for the 550. So for all the DDE fanboys, you guys can scroll off now, and I'm gonna do some shop updates for the rest of the cars here. So we just finished briefing with the staff, and I'm gonna go over some of the projects here in Classic Speed. Starting off with this one. This is my time attack version of my RWB. This is the first RWB in the Philippines. It is RWB Victoria, and we've made a crazy kit for it now. I actually sent the CFD analysis to an app online so that we can get the pressure forces of the wind. And we saw some things already that I think need to be adjusted. And the other cars here are client's car. This 575 wasn't running, and we're fixing out the electrical issues. This one has a transmission fault. It actually won't shift gears. The E28, which was built by my old shop, this one, for some reason, the rear main seal decided to take and we have to redo that. This is one of the next RWBs. This is going to be repainted along with the kit. This one as well will be an RWB in September, so that's going to be repainted as well. Now the rest of the cars here are for test drive. The Cobra actually is for test drive soon, so I might come back this weekend and so I can take this out and see if this is ready to get out of here. The owner of this car, beautiful C3 Stingray, actually came by the other day to see the car, and I love his build. This one has some wide fenders already on it, and it's a very subtle, sexy build. But we are assembling a car. This is a Toyota DX. It's a LS1. This was my first LS motor that I ever brought into the Philippines, and it's now in this little DX. It actually blew up already, so we're gonna rebuild it. Over here is my drift car. This is a BMW E46 four-door sedan, and it's got a LS3 in it also, running on work wheels, and it's got sitting on coilovers. This is a rear mount radiator system already. There's the radiator down there, fuel cell. Gotta get this running so that we can go drifting or try to sell it. But basically one of my oldest projects that I've ignored, and Classic Speed is restoring. The red Stingray, I had some issues with the paint. So we have some weird squiggly lines on the paint, which means they're gonna revisit this car. And then there's an R33 GTR here, but the owner hasn't gotten back to us on what to do with the engine. So it's just sitting here. Nice. 67 also. Some people have been asking, where's my GT40? And it's just sitting here. The GT40 is still waiting for some parts, but I think we're almost complete with it. And yeah, decided to leave the carbon exposed so that you can see how unique it is. This is on air suspension, that's why it's super tucked in. This is the body panel repair side, and this is one of my combi projects where we're putting in a Subaru motor, and it's still such a slow progress. But from the last video, you saw that we had no door skin. Finally, the door skin's back on. And this door wasn't opening properly. It was basically closing every time you opened it because the hinges were askew. This project is super interesting. This is our, what we call our prototype car, because this is going to receive our new body design from John Sabal. And we're trying to get this ready for the car show happening in November, which is our biggest custom car show. So this one's running a crate motor Coyote engine. This is just a standard Coyote motor. It's got the Mustang to Fear subframe for the front, and yeah, all the panels are new. We are going to paint this. Deciding also to widen the body rather than just widen the flare. We're gonna pull the body just to give it some more aggressive features. So normally we like to do the fender flare, which is just a lip here. But for this car, I actually wanna cut the line and do a DTM style fender where the whole fender is bubbled out from here, going out, coming out here, and then recessing back into the stock body panel. Or maybe we'll do GT style where it's actually creating space, so it's a full body panel. I need to study it and see how I want to design it. But first off, we got to get wider spacers so that we can get the proper offset for the wheel. This car should be finished in the next few months because it is for the car show, but it's gonna be a lot of work. It's easier for us to just create a lip flare because the body already has a standard lip flare right here. But essentially, I don't want to do that anymore, and I want to pull out the body just a little. So I'm gonna review some photos of our old project that we did that. We had an old project that we did that already where we pulled out the body. So here in front, we already have our 19-inch wheel, and it's already sticking out just a little, but I do want to get maybe a 2-inch spacer here and a 2-inch spacer in the back just to poke it out more so that we can get a proper body line on it. I just want to make sure it doesn't affect our body kit because we have designed and made the body kit for this already. We'll see how this goes. It's going to be an interesting project for us to finish just in time for the car show. So this is the S197 chassis. It's a 2014 chassis that we've basically ripped off everything so that we can rebody it to the 69 body. Now, I had my brother test the car out because there were a few things that we still needed to fix, but I wanted him to feel the car so that if he had any additional information that we can basically modify it already for him. What happened here was the wheelbase was actually very off, which meant we needed to move the fender arching wheel a little more forward. So we actually removed this line forward, and then as you can see, this is very chunky right here. And because the car is black, it looks okay from the visual, but I actually don't like it. So I want to put a side skirt eventually on the next build. But the tires and the wheel offset also, we had to create the small lip flare here so that we could hide the width of the stock mags. So the stock mags are 19-inch, and we're looking to downsize the front brakes to a Willwood brake so that we can put a 17-inch wheel so that we can get a more retro look and probably get some radials with the radial signs on the sides. We also need to do a full service and then figure out why we're leaking here, because the panel board is taking in water, so that means there's going to be rust eventually. But essentially, to the untrained eye, you really can't tell, especially from the back view or the front view, until you see the interior. Interior of the car, we have the 69 door card and door panel, and we have the 2014 dashboard along with the center console. Now, a few things need to be fixed still, but the car is essentially drivable already and pretty interesting how it turned out. Really happy with it. This could be the future for Classic Speed because we basically are running out of the older chassis to play with, and this might be a different market segment for those who don't understand how classic cars work and they're worried that the classic car might break. This might be the solution for you.